What is up, people? I put a fresh white shirt on for you today to represent Biotech Wednesdays. I don't know. Yeah, biotechs, huh? If you weren't convinced that the stock market is just a convoluted gambling casino, then let's talk about biotechs for a second. Now, here you are. Here you are thinking about what you think you know. And I love when people think they know something. I love you analysts. I love you guys who want to do fundamental analysis. Technicals, again, I still appreciate technical analysis, but biotechs. Are you thinking that you can analyze a biotech stock by reading about it in Business Week, or maybe calling up the company and talking about the investor relations chick? She sends you a bunch of mailers, you read about what the drug can do, and how it might be approved. You're telling all your friends about how this drug sounds like it's going to be a breakthrough, massive drug. And what it comes down to, you have no idea. You ain't no scientist. You ain't no genius. You don't even know what you're reading half the time. And the bottom line is, you really don't know what kind of money this biotech firm has to grease the wheels in motion, because that's a big part of it too. Even if you don't want to believe that, I think you do. Because the money involved is so extraordinary. That's why when you see stocks go from $4 to $12, that's how all this R&D is getting paid for. Now, don't you think there's some money somewhere being handed to somebody to maybe look at that drug a little bit more closely and see the benefits, or make the pro list a little bit larger than the con list? You think something like that might be going on? But here's what I want to talk about. What you do know and what you don't know is when OREX, and that's a stock in play today, got halted. Now, for me, whenever a stock gets halted, generally I'm not happy about it, because normally I'm assuming something bad's going to happen. And when a biotech gets halted, you, again, even if you are the one most positive guy on the stock, the guy that thinks he knows everything about this drug, you even did research about the members on the FDA panel that are going to vote on this drug. That's how much research you've done. And you know that in the past that he's approached these drugs with an open eye. And you're so confident. But when that stock goes halted, you're still there with that little twinge of doubt, aren't you? Admit it. Admit it. But what we're going to talk about today is how to make money on the stock that got halted. When it's halted, we saw a stock going up. VVUS, our old friend, the penile erectile dysfunction company, right? That I used to pitch when I was a broker at whatever it was, A.T. Goldman or J.P. Forgan, whatever firm I worked at. But when VVS you started to move, there you were, Mr. Analyst, right? Typing in VVUS into the Google search, trying to figure out what this company does. If you were that guy, there's no way you're going to make money in the stock market. And to make money in a market where 9 or 9.5 out of 10 stocks are going up right now, when you see something moving, you get into it and ask questions later. That's the only way. It might not be prudent. It might not be the wisest direction and the choice of investment that you want to get into, but that's how you have to make money in this market. You have to suspend your disbelief and just accept the fact that everything's going up, and if it's moving and it's going higher, it's probably going to go even higher after that. So why was the VVS moving? You're trying to figure out. OREX got halted and VVS is moving. Are they in a competitive field? Do they have the same type of drug? What's going on? Let me do some research. And next thing you know, the stock's at 720, 730, 750. Now it's breaking 750. You shouldn't be thinking, here's a stock breaking 750. What did we say about stocks that break 750? Generally, they go to $8. Oh my God, look at the stock. The 8s are trading. The 8s are trading. 810, 820. Next thing you know, it's spiking to 830. It might break 850. The 850s are trading, people. The Ben Lichtenstein call. I listened to that again. It's hilarious. We're going to get to that at a later date. But there it was. But the most important part of what the VVS did was prove once again what the hit the bid family can provide. We, as traders, like to get into things really, really quickly and then obviously get out of them. And then what we do to the stocks are just, it's mind-blowing. One of our traders got into the stock at 730, quickly sold the stock at 750 and 770. And what does that mean to you? Generally, if nobody, especially me and my illegitimate Indian son Fatty, do not own the stock anymore, the stock was bound for extraordinary gap ups. And if you want to talk to my Bollinger Guide and my candlestick analysis, he gave this stock a 100% chance of gapping up tomorrow morning based on the Bollinger Bands. And I laugh because Bollinger Bands mean nothing when we're talking about a biotech stock gapping up on news. Does it now? does it. But he obviously was proven to be right. So now we're talking about a stock that most of us exited at $7.80. I think that was one of our top ticks in the chat room. And now the stock is at $9.36. Now, if you're new to the program, and there's going to be a lot of new people coming to the program once I start hitting T3. And a lot of people, again, are going to think I'm a douchebag, which is okay. I am a self-important douche, but that's a big part of being a television personality. I need to really love myself, and even though I'm a self-hating, loathing, despicable, pessimistic, whiny bitch, really, that's what I am. As well, I might love my personality as being that type of person, but it's a conflict. But now we've gone into the deranged world of my mind. We're talking about biotech stocks now. We want to stray from the course, ADD boy, ADHD boy. Take a Ritalin, take your Adderall, and concentrate. Concentrate. Who are you talking to? VVUS. So if you know anything about the Hit the Bid family, what we do is we bless stocks here at the chat room, okay? We bless stocks. Like with the US Steel. I was stubborn. I was buying some at 49, waiting for it to break 50. And when it broke 50, I didn't get my print at 50. And then it gapped it the next day. And I said, I'm not going to buy anymore. I'm not buying it here at 50, 65. And somebody asked me, if you think the stock is going to $60, why in the world wouldn't you pay 50, 80 right here? And I said, because I want to buy it at 50. I'm a stubborn, whiny little bitch. And where did the stock do? It hit 54.5 on yesterday's gap. Think about that. Because we were talking about the 52.5 calls. Remember those at 70 cents? And then again at $1 and $1.20. Those opened up at about $3. Could have doubled your money overnight. All right, so we're talking about VVUS and asking questions, trying to figure out stuff. The moment you start to figure out stuff in this market, you've already lost the game. Don't try to figure it. The government's in control. Skynet has combined with Matrix to try to screw you. And the biggest Skynet Matrix screwing right now has definitely have to be the Google. So they threw us some news that there was some sort of, I don't know, legal issue going on with Google. Oh, stock's starting to fall. Then the Groupon purchase. People didn't like the purchase. Some people did like the purchase. But what did we say? He said, look at the stock right here. And this is the point where I want to try to make where day trading sometimes is awful. We were trying to day trade the Google, looking to pick it up on that, looking to make a little bit of money on the bounce. And we did all right. We bought the 560 calls for 70, and we sold the 570 calls last week. We netted a profit of about $4. With the risk was, I think, we could have lost 3, but we made 5 or 6. So it was all right. But the bottom line was, if we were looking ahead and the idea of Google closing the year at 600, the real trade would just have been to hang on to those 300 shares that we were day trading. Or if you're a bigger player, 1,000 shares of Google, which is a big position. But we were talking 300 shares, hanging on to it at about 557, 560, and then even at 565, we said, hey, hang on to 300 shares here, going into the end of the year, or whatever it is, whatever, 1 share, 2 shares, whatever your position in life is, we said this is going to be one of those trades where 10 days from now, 20 days from now, we're going to be saying, wasn't the stock at 560 and now it's at 600? And of course, it's only 2 days later and it's pretty much there. So sometimes day trading is annoying because of those situations where you know what you should be doing and you're trying to look 3 or 4 days in the past, and you could still consider that day trading. It's not like we're investors, okay? And if we want to talk about investing, people, I need to talk about one more thing before we go. When we first met, and I don't know how many of you guys are around since the days of, talking about Genesis microchip, how it's going to get bought out, OMTR, how I told you that was probably going to get a buyout bid. Both of those got bought out. And I know you're saying I'm only talking about the ones that got bought out. The Hearn didn't get bought out, but look at the stock, it's back. The Sprint Nextel didn't get bought out, but the stock still did perform from the entry point that we had. But what am I talking about now? Oh, wait a minute, I think I might have to just stop the tape now. See, there's that ADHD coming in again. I was going to talk about buyouts and stocks that are looking like they might get bought out. I'm going to take a moment to reflect. Okay, what I was going to talk about and the idea of investing was that back in the day, one of my first videos, I talked about a stock that I know a few, when I had some friends left on Wall Street. I mean, I still have a few people that I talk to. You know what it is? I'm sick of people who have just been completely wrong. Most people that I've talked to in my life have been wrong. And all I've done is give pretty solid advice. Whatever. But this one guy, he's been proven to be damn right. The guy over at a certain mutual fund that I won't mention say they were accumulating a little known stock called Acacia Resources, ACT-G. ACT-G? ACT-G? Remember I had the hat on and I was hoping I wasn't insulting any gangsters by giving gang signs? ACT-G, A-C-T-G. Now here's a stock that proves that long-term investing does work. When we first met, what was that, January, maybe March of 2007, I gave you this stock and I told you I was in it at about $8. The idea was there's a bunch of creepy lawyers sitting around, going around the world, scooping up patents, buying up people's ideas, waiting for someone to infringe on one of the patents that they have to go sue them. And it's going to take a bunch of years for a lot of these patents to work out. But apparently they had a really great portfolio of patents. And then as soon as this thing started taking off, it was going to be one of those stocks that everybody was talking about. ACT-G. Now here's the funny thing. The stock went from 8, and I started selling at 10 and 11, because that's the way I do. Then it went to 12, 13, 15. Then I was convinced obviously it would go to 20, and then when it didn't break 20, we tried to short the stock, and then it fell apart, actually, after I started shorting it. I didn't make any money on the downside. And the stock went down to like $3, $4, then down to $2. Completely forgot about it. Did nothing for a while. But then, that long-term investor said to me, "You still got that ACT-G?" I said, "Nah, that thing's a piece of garbage. That was one you were wrong on." And I think maybe a few more months went by and then things started creeping back up. Basically with the market, didn't think much of it. But the ACT-G now, would you believe, is the most heavily talked about stock on stocktwits.com. But there's a lot of people on stocktwits.com. I don't go there too often. I always forget they exist. But I went there and the most heavily talked about stock of the day was ACT-G. And that was just basic. And most of the people were talking about technicals, not about fundamentals. So sometimes the longer term perspective actually does work. And if that's your game, you can find it here too. We've got guys that love talking fundamentals, love talking about future prospects of companies and what they're going to do. Jay Bill. Oh, by the way, did you guys notice my last pick's been doing pretty good, and then Kramer got in our way? I'm kind of upset about that. JBL, been buying it since 1485. Yeah. And then now that it's gapped up on Kramer, I wasn't too excited about that. But, all right, long-term investing, sometimes it works. Blah, 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 blah. Come to the chat room, hitthebit.com. Who is this asshole? And good luck to you.
I would much prefer Kroll.